Hey guys, it's Mercedes, also known as That Mom here on the internet, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back for another bullet journal. Yay, bullet journal. Today's bullet journal is a little bit different because, as you can see on this cover page, yeah, it's called cover page. Oh my gosh, I totally blanked there for a minute there. But anyway, as you can see on this cover page, there's a lot of line work on here. I know, we came right out of May with the Lego blocks, and I said I wasn't going to do that much line work again. Well, I lied. My next 3 spreads are going to be very heavy with line work, and I really hope they all pay off. So this video is going to be just a little bit different because there is so much line work. I didn't film any of the weekly or the to-dos or the notes. I basically just focused on this cover page. I just threw together actually my weekly and my to-dos and my notes the other day. So I've had this cover page done for like a week now and nothing else done in my bullet journal. But I'm very proud of this cover page. So if you guys are not fans of sci-fi, you guys probably won't recognize this, but if you are a fan of sci-fi, and right now this particular series is kind of in the news because they are in talks to bring back for another season or a new series. So if you guys haven't gotten it yet, this is the Chappai from Stargate SG1. So it's the Stargate, but when they first meet the residents of Chulak, they called it the Chappai. So little side note that before me and my husband started dating, I did not watch the show at all. I actually remember one of the characters being on TV because my grandma Patty, because I called my great grandma my grandma, so I better say my grandma Patty, my actual grandma, used to watch this on sci-fi. She used to watch this in Farscape, and towards the end, I'm pretty sure she watched Stargate Atlantis, which foreshadowing for next month, Stargate Atlantis. But yeah, so one of the characters whose name is Teal'c, which is actually played by darn it, what is his name? Christopher Judge. How come I couldn't remember his name for a second there? I don't even know. So his character Teal'c, I saw him on TV when I was a kid, and it scared the heck out of me that I had recurring nightmares with this one scene, which is actually Teal'c firing the Jaffa weapon, the staff weapon. And for years that kind of haunted me, and I didn't know what the heck it was, and it was just totally out of context. So fast forward to my husband showing me the show. When we first got Netflix, it was on Netflix. SG1 was on Netflix. So he had watched through it, and about 3 or 4 seasons in, yeah, I would say about 3 or 4 seasons in, it caught my eye. So our daughter was born at this time, and it was on Netflix, and as soon as he had finished his watch through, Netflix took it off. So yeah, it didn't really work out great, because then I was like, what happens, because he had finished his initial, watch through of, oh my gosh, I used to watch as a kid, all this, all that, great stuff. And then I caught it at the end, and I was like, But wait, what happens? Because I think when I was doing my watch through, I got to maybe about season 5. Yeah, maybe season 5. Maybe Vala was there. Maybe season 6. I don't know. I'd have to look and see when they introduced the character of Vala into the season to really know. But I'm pretty sure it was around that time. And if any of you guys are a fan right now, listen to me do this commentary on Stargate. I am sorry if I butcher anything. Like I said, I had never watched it until, never sat down and watched it until me and my husband were together watching it. So, and that was 2011, 2012, because like I said, our first daughter was born. Our first daughter, she could probably sit down and school you on any of the stuff from the movie, the series, anything but Stargate Continuum and Stargate Universe. She could probably talk to you about for like hours and hours. She's actually watching through Stargate Atlantis as we speak. Well, not as we speak. She's asleep right now, but we have DVDs of Stargate Atlantis in there, and they live in her room. So, okay. But yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent on Tilk, so maybe I should explain the premise of the show, since this video is just me doing the cover page. So Stargate SG1 was the show that came from the movie Stargate, and the movie of Stargate had Kurt Russell in it as Captain Jack O'Neill, and it had now I'm trying to look for the actors' names. It had what is his name? It had one of the actors from Pretty in Pink, guys, playing Daniel Jackson, the original Daniel Jackson. It was James Spader. How did I forget his name? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. That's how I'm forgetting everybody's names. So it came out in 1994, the original movie. And like I said, it had Kurt Russell, it had James Spader, it had the basic, premise of what the whole show would be and what the whole everything would be, which is the Egyptian gods were real gods, quote unquote, but they were these false gods called the Goa'uld, and the Goa'uld would use their premise as gods to enslave people. And it was this whole thing, the whole arc through the whole entire show. So it's through the movie and through the show. And they would travel through a thing called a Stargate, which is what my cover here is. And all these little symbols that you see me trying my hardest at doing are all the different symbols on all the different chevrons, as they call it, on the Chappai, the Stargate. So you would think I'd be able to do this commentary kind of a little bit better, but I'm just, oh my gosh, 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, but anyway, yeah. So the movie follows Colonel Jack O'Neill and Dr. Daniel Jackson, which Dr. Jackson's an archaeologist. And, you know, Colonel O'Neill, he came out of retirement to do this assignment to go through the Stargate. And there is some, like, other characters, like Catherine, I'm pretty sure is what the old lady's name is in the movie, because now there is a little mini series called Catherine, Stargate Origins Catherine. So that's about her and her dad, who originally, you know, found the Stargate in Egypt, which that's a whole nother, like, subset timeline where they do, they touch on that in the show, but they don't really touch on it, how it happens in that, excuse me, it doesn't really, they don't really, touch on how it happens like that in the show or in the movie Catherine. It was a little mini series, but anyway, so yeah, the premise of the movie is just that, and then they become, you know, friends with the people of Chulak, and they help them get out of their enslavement and with their false gods, and then Dr. Jackson stays. So that is basically, like, the movie premise. And then the show picks up. The show picks up like a year or two later, 5 years later, and yeah, so the show picks up a couple years later, and the Stargate was activated and something came through, and then they were like, well, the only known world that we know of is over here, and this is how we can tell, you know, they sent a box of tissues through. Jack, who is now played by Richard Dean Anderson, also known as MacGyver, of course, big hard hitter right there. So he sends a box of tissues through to see if it's Jack, or to see if it's Daniel, or, you know, friend or foe, basically. So Daniel, who is now played by Michael Shanks, which, you know, awesome. Me and my husband have always said, if they do a live action Atlantis from Disney, you know, Atlantis, The Lost Empire, we've always said that Michael Shanks should play Milo, but now that he's too old, I think that he needs to play the eccentric billionaire that sends them to look for Atlantis and everything like that. But anyway, Daniel Jackson, who is now played by Michael Shanks, is there still on Chulak with his wife, and oh yeah, he got married in the movie. That's right. He got married in the movie, and he didn't even realize it for half the movie. But anyway, Michael Shanks does a great job of picking up where James Spader left off. Like, if you didn't know more about the two actors, like, you would look and say, huh, like, there's a super similarity right there. And then even Michael Shanks said that, you know, it took him a couple seasons to drop the James Spader spiel. Hi. The cat one. Come and say hi. So yeah, and then with the help of Amanda Tapping's character, which is Samantha Carter, which Amanda Tapping, what every 90s boy's dream right there. And I want to say that she is currently producing, I want to say that they were saying in an interview that she's producing some sci-fi stuff, so they really want her to come back if they end up doing more Stargate. But she's like producing right now, which is awesome, like producing and directing. Where was I at? Oh yeah, so they're joined by Amanda Tapping's character, and they go through the gate to basically, they go to Chulak to go talk to Daniel, and they're like, well, hey, you know, something came through the gate, was it you guys? They're like, no, you know, and then they realize, oh, there's other places you can go through the gate, because they had just gotten one gate address in the movie from hieroglyphics and all that stuff, and they spent most of the movie trying to get the gate address to go home. So yeah, so they're like, well, no, you know, I didn't realize other worlds were connected to the gate. And, you know, it's a big multifaceted, I don't even know the word I'm looking for, It's a giant universe that the gate connects. So they only had found one address, but then they realized that, hey, there's a ton of more addresses out there. So these things coming through the gate are what's called the Goa'uld, and they have enslaved all of these people, which is where you meet Christopher Judge. He is the first prime of Apophis. He plays Teal'c. Apophis is the big bad guy for the first main part. Oh, yeah, like, I kind of panned over to the computer to show you guys what my reference pieces were and everything. So a nice little glimpse of the cast. I don't own that image. YouTube, don't copyright strike me for that. But gosh, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so yeah, Apophis is like the big bad guy for the first majority of the seasons. They kill him a couple times, but he keeps coming back. He's big bad guy. And so Christopher Judge plays Teal'c. He plays his first prime, and there's a big story arc with Teal'c throughout the whole SG1. I don't want to give away too much. So if you guys are interested in what I'm saying, if you guys have never heard of this show before, at the moment it's on Netflix. So I don't know when it's supposed to go off. I would go ahead and go and look because it is on Amazon and it is on other streaming services, but right now it's on Netflix, and if you have a Netflix account, you don't have to pay extra for it, which all the other streaming services, it's extra. Some other big names in SG1 is Don S. David. Before he passed away, he played General George Hammond. Terry Rothery played Janet Fraser, which is the doctor. Gary Jones, who played Walter, and his thing, Walter. Everybody knows the character of Walter, and even if you didn't realize his name was Walter, even though they had said it a couple times up until they really addressed him as Walter, his thing was the announcer. Chevron 1 encoded, locked. Chevron 2 encoded, locked, all the way to 7. So yeah, the gate addresses, it's a 7 symbol address. As you'll see, I found the best image I could for the symbol for Earth, and I went ahead and I put it in on my monthly page, because like I said, I didn't really do a whole bunch. What other big names? Claudia Black, of course, plays Vala. Like I said, she comes in later on. Ben Brower comes in later on as Cameron Mitchell. Corin Nemec as Jonas Quinn, which I've been listening to a lot of, there's a channel here on YouTube called Gate World. There is some really good interviews and stuff at Gate World and What Culture. Yeah, that's what the channel's name is, What Culture. They recently have done a couple things about Jonas, and if his character arc was really fulfilled. And so they say, as the moment that Jonas is still alive out there, because I guess I didn't even realize it in the beginning that he was actually an alien. So some cool stuff. But so is Vala. Don't worry, guys. So is Vala. And there's a lot of aliens. Teal'c, Vala, and Jonas, 3 of the big people that end up sharing most of the screen time with the series, are aliens. And then Beau Bridges comes in towards the later seasons to pick up the helm as General Hank Landry. Yeah, General. Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to get all these, military rankings right. So I'm pretty sure that that's all right, because then at one point, Colonel Jack O'Neill becomes General Jack O'Neill. Yeah, so there's some really great stuff that happens, because in SG1 alone, they go from having, I would say, 3 major bad guys, because you start with the Goa'uld, the movie like brings you into the entire, whole franchise. You have the Goa'uld, and then you have a little bit towards the middle, they introduce the replicators, which are these big bad basically bug machines. And the replicators go into actually Atlantis, Stargate Atlantis, and probably if they gave it more time, Stargate Universe probably would have introduced the idea of the replicators, because it's a really good, quote unquote villain, because it is just technology, and with everything going the way it is, technology is there. And then the third big, bad guy of SG1 is the Priors, the Ori. So, that is, the big bad guy that the show leaves off with. And then there are two made-for-TV movies that kind of tied in and finished up those arcs, which was Stargate Continuum. Yes, Stargate Continuum, and then Stargate Arc of Truth. So, yeah, and then those right now are actually free to watch with commercials on YouTube. We just watched Arc of Truth earlier before I laid down for my nap, because my daughter saw a what's it called? A trailer on the DVD for Arc of Truth. The big old announcer man voice, I can't even remember what the trailer sounds like, but it is really, the SG1 series is really great. Okay, so here's where I started to go ahead and write the gate address. So, very hard also. I mean, hey, all of these symbols are very, very hard to do. But, yeah. I've just kind of been prattling on about SG1. But like I said, we've been watching it for a while in my house. My daughter is well versed in SG1. It would probably be something that we'd be very excited to see a comeback of. And like I said, I mean, I know that Michael Shanks is too old to play Milo, but still, that's who we've always envisioned as playing Milo in a live action, Atlantis movie from Disney. So, oh, but also there's like Michael Shanks' character, Daniel Jackson, actually ties together the two shows, because both Stargate SG1 and Stargate Atlantis ran concurrently towards the end of SG1's run. And then they basically introduced Atlantis and all that fun stuff. So, I mean, hey. Where are we at? We are at the little bit of the calendar spacing that I did. Okay, so I'm just gonna go over it real quick. My big thing with my color scheme was the grays, the blues, the muted blues, and everything. The most color that's in my my whole setup is on the front page on that Stargate, the Chappai. Everything else is just grays. It's, all my grays I used between my Crayola Super Tips and my zebra highlighters. And it worked out very nicely, I think. Yeah, so, like, I'm going to give you guys just a little overview, a little flip through of my finished, month spread. But let me know what you guys think of the spread in the comments below. Tell me if you enjoyed this kind of long-winded format of just focusing on one element at a time. And I actually kind of thought about doing the month and the month page, you know, the cover and the month page, and then possibly doing my weeklies as weekly videos, or a video with my weeklies. So let me know in the comments if that's something that interests you guys. Here is the final flip through. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a like on this video. And like I said, leave me a comment below. And leave me a comment if you guys have ever watched any of the Stargate series. Oh, you can see my mess up right there. Rings are hard, guys. But anyway, yeah, let me know down below if you guys have ever seen any of the Stargate franchise, if you like it, if you aren't a big fan of it. So, yeah, see you guys in the next video. Bye!